We have had some technical problems.
Hello.
All right, we're live.
Welcome to StreamGeeks Live on this happy Monday of a holiday week here in the United States for Labor Day. We're so happy you could join us today. Make sure you're saying hi in the chat. We are live and communicating with you while we're doing so. Today is all about planning an event live stream as my host is making messes with paint.
Mike,
More on why we have
this
paint
is safe
soon.
paint, right? It's non-toxic. It's not going to stain me.
Oh my goodness.
All right,
It's
why do we
washable.
even have this? I hope it's washable. All right, so let's let them know, Mike. Let's tell them what the show is going to be about. We are planning a very fun commercial shoot. That's right, a real commercial that we're going to show on television. Wait, no. Who watches television anymore? Of course, it's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on YouTube. And we're going to talk about tips for streaming a live event in this fun, exciting way because we are considering this commercial shoot an event. And we're going to talk about how to plan a fun event and plan that live streaming technology around it. We got an awesome checklist. You can get at streamgeeks.us/checklist. So with that awesome checklist in mind, we also want to tell you about an awesome church technology giveaway. If you go to church and you are in the United States of America, whether it's a synagogue, a mosque, or a Christian church, you can actually join this awesome giveaway at ptcoptics.com/church-makeover, where you can enter to win a complete live streaming, our biggest giveaway ever, blah, blah, blah. You can get it. Check it out. It's right there. Now Tess is going to tell you a little bit about our plans.
All right, guys, we're so happy about today's discussion. This summer has been very busy for us. We've done a few event streams, and today we're going to talk about some things that we've learned along the way. So, where this all kind of begins, Michael had this great experiential marketing idea, which is going to take the form of a commercial involving paint and PTZ Optics cameras. More to come on that shortly. Next, the whole goal of the live stream of our commercial shoot is to hop on to what we discussed last week, which is sharing some behind-the-scenes action of what your organization does with your live audience. And so this stream that we're going to be doing on Wednesday is going to be inviting you in IRL, in real life form, to share in that experience with us and see how crazy things can get around here.
So part of the idea, and we're going to talk all about some great tips for planning a live stream. We're going to talk about the live streaming tech in general. But one of the ideas is if your company or your organization or your church is doing something of interest to the world, why not capture it? Why not share it with the world in a way that social media, video marketing, and online technologies can embrace and adapt? And when you do that, what we've found here at StreamGeeks, what we found at our business is that if it's done in a fun, engaging way, the response is incredible. So when we go out, and what we're planning to do is to take different colors of paint. Michael, as you can see, has chosen some very interesting paint colors that are kind of glossy and fun. Michael wants to take some of the products that we sell, a camera, a joystick, and actually dump paint on top. I'm just going to dump a little bit just for testing purposes. No, I'm just kidding.
Scared me. I was like, that's not one of the broken ones that we were going to.
And the idea is this is going to be happening this Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Michael's going to be taking pictures and shooting videos, and the pictures will be used for social media.
Yes.
The short video clips will be kind of the commercial content, but we thought, let's take it a step further and let's give a whole behind the scenes live stream of the event itself. And in doing so, show the technology that it takes to stream an event, but also it's almost like the Truman Show or like something weird where it's like a show inside a show where the show is watching Michael take pictures and dump paint, and we're going to have fog machines and smoke bombs.
Yeah, and in StreamGeeks, we talk a lot about our digital marketing tactics beyond live streaming. And this might be maybe helpful for some of you looking to do some DIY advertisements for your show or company. And maybe you'll get some fun ideas from watching us do it.
So yes, it is more up the marketing alley. We are listening to your comments. Outcast.com said he had his first football game with PTZ Optics cameras and it worked flawlessly. Congratulations.
Yay.
And then Corey Thompson has been saying that he's been streaming his municipal government meetings for 2 years now. Awesome. Well, we hope that we're going to give you guys some content to comment on. Got a whole checklist here. Let's dig into it today. It's going to be, this checklist has come from a lot of effort and research. It's already got paint on it, so you know you can trust it. All right, let's dig into it. So, tips for planning an event stream. Here's the first thing, Tess. What's wrong with this picture? It's an easy one. vMix doesn't run on a Mac.
Yes, okay.
Tess has got vMix running on a Mac.
Well,
okay. No, we did not find a Mac that runs
so
vMix.
is this going to be a presentation on checking my work?
Well, we might have to one or two times along this
Fair enough.
show. We'll see. But event streaming, it can be complicated. And so what we decided to do was to break up our team into people that teamwork can make the dream work. So what's our team, Tess?
Yeah, so the team for the commercial shoot and live stream, because this is a double header here, is going to be Michael doing the main production of filming the commercial and recorded content. Paul and I are going to be hosting the show. I'm going to be tackling some social media, of course, because we will be live streaming like we are today. And then we're going to have Brian, the intern, on producing the live show, the instant replays, and all that fun goodies that you guys are going to get to see. So it's going to be great.
So in the planning stages, and Tess put a really great little comment here about Einstein. I was always told, this is a little different than what I was, but if Einstein had an hour to plan an event or plan to solve
life or death situation.
A life or death situation, he'd do 60 minutes. He would do 30 minutes analyzing, 20 minutes planning, and only 10 minutes doing. And I think it would even be less doing if needed. But that's the reason why he does all the planning. And so one of the things we realized is there's actually 2 different tech systems involved and a whole planning element. So we're going to plan the event, and that Michael actually did a lot of work planning what paints are we going to buy. We're going to have plexiglass in front of the cameras, which I have over here. Actually, I'm going to unbox our plexiglass because this was a really good idea, Michael.
And there he goes, off and out of the room.
Wait,
That's all right.
This was a really good idea, Michael, because like this is planning for you. This is what you do
this
when
is
you
live action right here.
when you plan an event. Oh no, Michael, it has like a blue tint to it.
What is this for, Paul?
That could be a protective.
It is a protective film.
Oh, there's a protective coat that comes off. You're right, there is. Okay, this is planning, folks. These are going to go around the camera so that when it gets really crazy with the paint just like splashing everywhere, we have like protective glass so that we don't get paint all over the place. This is planning. So Michael literally planned everything from drop cloths to paint colors, plexiglass, tripods. So it's all been planned. There's one tech system that's not live streaming based. That's the digital SLR camera with the wireless microphones for Tess and I as we create the commercial content. And then there is the separate tech setup, which is the streaming cameras and the whole tech involved with that. That's what we're going to focus on. But when you're putting something like this together, there's a lot involved. So we got the tech equipment, and then Tess even put a networking checklist. That's included in this checklist. And then the event checklist itself. So the first thing, why don't you go through our first site survey.
Okay, so when you're doing an event stream, we've talked about this before, there's quite a few things that go into planning it. Might I say the majority, just like Einstein, goes into planning the event rather than the actual execution of the event. So you want to look into the location of your live stream. Where are you going to have all of your cameras and equipment? Where's the sound guy located? And so basically that's where we're going to start with where we're streaming, especially because if you're getting out of the studio and streaming, things can get pretty complicated. So we have gone so far as to, use a Google Earth image and see exactly where the stage might be and maybe where there might be some space for us to set up some of our equipment. And then we go ahead and draw a map, much like a project manager would do, an audiovisual project manager, of where the cameras are going to go, the connections, the audio feeds, and everything like that.
Yeah, so the Google image, using Google Maps is great because you can zoom into a large location and you can get rough estimates. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but Google Maps has a ruler that you can actually use to get cable runs. So if you're quoting a job for a customer or just scoping out how much cabling you're going to need, you can open up the space on Google Maps and draw points to see exactly how much cabling you're going to need. Add 20% to that number just to keep yourself safe. The other thing that Tess mentioned is the wiring diagrams that we're going to create. One for video and then just a separate one for audio, making all your checkpoints for video and checkpoints for audio, breaks it down in a digestible fashion. And then once you feel like you've got your whole video, audio setup checklist done, the next thing to think about is your software. And a lot of times this falls into the marketing side of things. So Tess, why don't you handle this one?
Yeah, well, you might be using hardware to go live or software. And some of those products that have some social media integrations to think about. So that's definitely something to consider with your event. Where are you going to be streaming to? Do they allow for social media integrations? And how are you going to configure that into your stream?
Yeah. Do you want to prepare custom intros and outros, lower thirds, things that might be made in Adobe After Effects and of that nature? Do you want PNG files, graphic overlays, logos, stuff like that? The next thing, oh, yeah, I can go.
No, I just was wondering if you had control of it.
Yes, I do. So what goes on to planning your event? The next thing to think about is power. Where is your power source? If you are going to be at a really big show, can you get what's called a clean feed? And that means you're on a separate power grid connection than the lighting and the audio, because lights can take up a lot of power, especially if they're not using LEDs anymore, or if they're still using the old fluorescents that take up a lot of power. And then also, with audio in general, you don't want your power source to be flickering. Cabling, this comes from Ken Benedict. If you do have cables longer than 50 feet, which I think is a great rule of thumb, to use a cable spool. It's called a cable spool, right? And what you can do here is you can spool it out, and then when it comes time to reel it back up, you have to reel it back up real quick. It's super easy and makes breakdown a lot easier. Extra equipment that you might not be thinking of if it's at nighttime. What do we bring?
Flashlights.
A flashlight. And then no matter what time of day it is, bring some gaffing tape. The gaffing tape can really help with taping things down so people don't trip over any cables that you have to run in more public areas.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's one test that you looked up. Why don't you get these next two, F and G?
Okay, something that we're thinking about right now because the commercial that we're shooting on Wednesday is outdoors. Of course, you have to consider the weather. What is the weather going to be during your time of event? And what is your backup plan? Because you better have one if the weather turns south. So that's something that we're thinking about, whether you need to have an alternate indoor location, whether you just want to plan for your setup to be indoors in general, if possible, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
So definitely something to consider. Go over just so we can have it to refer to, because right now they're just looking at the picture
here it
for
is.
10 minutes.
Got it.
Okay. All right. And so then after that, we talked about having your talent prepared as well. In this case, well, the talent is really the cameras and the commercial shoot. But for the live stream that we're going to be hosting, Paul and I are going to be the talent. So make sure they're prepped and ready for the time that they need to be there for mic and sound checks and so on and so forth.
Yep. And Thomas, I think a couple of these actually came from you. Thomas is saying, always bring a flashlight. Always there's dark corners and cables to run. Where did you get that protective case? So I wouldn't, this is just plexiglass that we are going to put in front of the cameras.
He's talking about for the cameras.
For the cameras?
In the picture we were showing.
That.
Is it a Pelican?
Yeah, it's a Member's Mark. Is this new, less expensive foam cases that you cut out yourself, but it was only like $50.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Great way to transport the cameras.
Now, when you're tuning your equipment, so let's assume everything's been delivered, laid out, the beautiful sunny day. You're tuning your equipment. Start with the lights, if you have them, because that'll affect what you do with the cameras. Then go to the cameras, and when we're talking about cameras, we usually use the 180 degree shutter speed rule, meaning if you're streaming and recording in 30 frames per second, you're using 1/60th of a frame rate. And we'll start by looking at getting good contrast and making sure we have an ideal exposure. And if we're using PTZ optics cameras, we'll connect to them over the network and ideally use either the iOS app or our brand new PTZ apps to just touch up the hue, the luminance, and the contrast and make sure that our exposure is ideal. Next, we'll take a look at white balance and focus. We might set a couple presets. Or we might lock the focus in for something like this because that camera that's getting paint all over it's not moving anywhere. And then we're going to test our microphones. Just make sure all the audio that we're looking for is set up. And now we've got pretty much, we're down to here, Tez. We've pretty much gotten our setup ready to go, but we haven't started streaming or recording yet. So now we got to start thinking about that.
Absolutely. We're starting to think about some of the technology, the hardware, software you're going to be using. Something to note when you're event streaming, you want to be in touch with the event location's IT manager, audiovisual managers, so you can ensure that you're able to access the broadcast network that they have or something that's not the public network to be streaming to, and that the bandwidth is sufficient for the type of stream that you'll be hosting. Otherwise, you can purchase bandwidth from sources like Decast and StreamMonkey and others.
Yes. So the next thing we're going to think about is the hard drive space that you have. Are you going to be recording portions of the show? One of the things that I like to do a lot is I always pretty much record my streams, and you could actually play back a previous band or song or something when there's a break on stage. So that content, you can even do instant replay, which we'll be doing instant replay. So when we pour that paint on a camera, we'll be showing it back at a lower frame rate to make the slow motion effect go into play. And recordings are great, but you just need to think about how much storage do you have? What format are you recording in? When we've had issues with vMix running instant replay, if you're not recording at 100 megabits per second, that's a bug in my opinion, because they give you options for 25 and 50, which would be nice to have those lower megabit per second compression settings. Because for storage, at 100 megabits per second, you're using a lot of recording space, 100 megabytes every second that you're recording. So look at your hard drive space, make sure you have a big enough hard drive to use what you want. And of course, always everything that you're planning on recalling and using in your stream should be coming off a solid state hard drive at this point because it'll make everything run a lot smoother. Then, Tess was talking a little bit about bandwidth. Don't forget to check your bandwidth. The recent data from Akamai says that an ideal, excellent quality stream is about 6 megabits per second for someone watching on a television and 2 to 3 megabits per second for somebody watching on a mobile device. So keep that in mind, depending on who you're delivering your content to. 6 megabits seems like a lot. John Penderson saying, what about wireless? I've seen projects test fine without audience, but fall apart when the spectrum got busy with 1,000 plus cell phones. Yeah, I mean, ideally, not only do you want to be running your own wireless system for like Wi-Fi control, if that's what you're looking at doing, and lock it, obviously, so no one has access to it, but I would hardwire everything, and I would not want to use wireless unless absolutely necessary. We only bring a wireless cellular bonding. I almost said cellular blonding. A cellular blonding live view solo to as a backup, but hardwire that Ethernet.
The live view solo is a great option to have that wireless backup option, but you also want to make sure that you're not on the location's public network. You want that dedicated network so that you don't have as much interference there. And what you're seeing on the screen is some of the lists that we organized for the events that we have done. That's kind of the key word to this whole presentation, and everything that we've learned really comes down to a lot of list making, a lot of checking twice, and a lot of redundancy backup plans and batteries, because that'll get you.
There we are at NAB. Even running your own wireless could be interfering with the audience hotspots and mobile devices, says John Thompson. And it's true. Everyone knows the difference between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz wireless Wi-Fi spectrums. and they get congested pretty quick. So it could definitely be an issue. Now, once we've established the live stream, do a test stream real quick and use the Facebook and YouTube preview windows. Every content delivery network has a preview window. Use it. So listen to the stream from the far end before you go live. If you're a person with a microphone, get someone else to do it for you. But check to see what the audio is on the far end receiving side of things with the download internet speed that you should have access to before going live. Check your social media integration if you plan to be doing social media integration as we are showing today. And then we're really on to the final testing. Test your audio one more time. One of the things I found out that is in vMix that I didn't know about is you can check your audio engine and it will report the latency on each audio input. So I noticed that we're running 3 or 4 different VST3 plugins to do compression and really boost our audio so it hopefully sounds really good and isn't peaking. But I believe all those VST3 plugins are stacking up a little bit of latency, and it reported back 80 milliseconds of latency, which we were then there able to slow down our video roughly 40 to 60 milliseconds to accommodate that, to compensate for that. So you can look at audio latency. And then finally, during the stream, the last thing is keep an eye on your CPU usage. You want to make sure you don't go over 50%. If you're at 70 to 75, you're going too high. And if you're at 80, get rid of something because you're going crazy.
Software, social media, easy live, everything.
Yeah, who knows what it is, but it's generally something that you're recording too much. Knock a stream out of there, knock a record out of there, knock a camera out of there. You got to do something to reduce the processing power of your computer or you're going to go crazy. That's our show. We'll see you in the post show in just a moment where we're going to do a fun giveaway, and we'll see you on our Twitch channel. So hi, Livewire. Thanks for joining. But we're just about to go to our Twitch channel for our post show. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys in a moment.
That means that extra. Extra.